That Reef Show.
That Reef Show.
This is That Reef Show.
If you could just do us a super quick favor, subscribe to My First Fish Tank and Marine Depot, like this video, sign up for our newsletter. The links are directly below. If there's any products featured in this video that you just have to have, click on the links below. And to jump to any individual segment, just click on the timestamp below. Enjoy episode 2. Episode 2, words of the week, 2-part dosing. Two-part dosing is the process of replenishing calcium carbonate that is used by corals and other inverts in building their skeletons and their shells by adding separately and in equal amounts calcium chloride and sodium carbonate or sodium bicarbonate. Two-part dosing was invented to make your life easier by offering 2 separate solutions that could be dosed in equal amounts, thus adding calcium and alkalinity back into the water to help your corals thrive and grow. Corals use the calcium from calcium chloride and the carbon from sodium carbonate, also known as soda ash, to thrive and grow. In a lightly stocked tank, a weekly water change will usually suffice in replenishing the calcium chloride and the sodium carbonate. But as your collection of corals grow, they will consume more calcium and more alkalinity, probably outpacing the replenishment from the weekly water change, thus the need for 2-part dosing. The reality is, if you're only doing 2-part dosing and not doing a water change very often, your corals probably aren't thriving and growing as well as they could be. Why is that? Because corals need more than just calcium and alkalinity to grow. They need other things such as magnesium, major, minor, and trace elements, and 2-part dosing just doesn't contain these things. Hence, 2-part solution, calcium and alkalinity, are often bundled with other things, especially magnesium and trace elements. But the other major, minor, and trace elements aren't consumed nearly as quickly as the calcium chloride and the sodium carbonate, so you don't need to dose them as much. Here's the beautiful thing about 2-part solution. Since corals consume calcium and carbon in a simple 1-to-1 ratio, in almost all cases, you will add equal amounts of 2-part solution. That means that once you have your dosing dialed in, you won't need to test for calcium and alkalinity. You can just do an occasional alkalinity test and you will be able to infer the calcium level as well. Just don't mix and match 2-part solutions from different companies. That's because each company likely mixes their 2-part solutions to a different level of concentration. So let's just say you use the B ionic calcium and the Brightwell Reef Code B alkalinity. You would likely have to dose 2 separate amounts, which defeats the whole beautiful simplicity of 2-part dosing. 2-part dosing can either be accomplished manually or automatically via dosing pumps, but more on that to come. 2-part dosing, this week's Word of the Week. This week's joke of the week comes from Dean from England. 2 fish are in a tank. One fish says to the other fish, "Do you know how to drive this thing?" Check out Dean on Instagram at Dean Barnes Photography. And if you have a joke, send it our way. contact@thatreefshow.com. I think this is probably going to easily become my favorite segment of every single week. It's mail time. What do we got this week, huh? Box number 1. Ooh. SpectraPure Float Level Control Kit. This is for a segment for next week with my RODI filter. Quick seal again for next week for an RODI segment I'm doing. This is a push connect bulkhead. Aquamax probe holder. I think you're getting the idea. This is actually for a segment that I think is coming up either the next segment or the segment right after this, where we're going to be doing some 2-part dosing. Reagents, I am out of my Hanna Checker calcium and alkalinity reagent. Ugh. this Simplicity dosing container. I have never had a fancy dosing container, and you can't see my head at all because my head is now in the shade. So I'm like this mysterious. Ooh. All right, that's box 1. Thanks to Marine Depot as always. A new protein skimmer. Marine Depot, they took pity on me and they said, you know what? We got a better one for you. I don't want to unbox all the way. I just want to show you guys what the skimmer looks like. Q2. The Q2, in case anybody's wondering. Oh, this is going to be such an upgrade. Oh, it's massive. Holy mother of goodness. Oh, I can already tell you one thing that's going to make my life 1,000 times better. Look at this. Okay, here's the collection cup. See the collection cup? It has a handle. In my current SC protein skimmer, I literally have to like reach my hand in the top and jiggle it off, and then half the time it just spills everywhere, but no longer. Because Aquamax, you beautiful, beautiful company, you designed a good protein skimmer. That's pretty much all we got for mail time for this week. If you have anything that you want to be featured or tried out or tested or shown to the greater reefing world, email us at contact@thatreefshow.com. We'll get you sorted out. Now I think it's time to go do some 2-part dosing. Dear That Reef Show, I've been in the hobby for less than a year now and have a 40-gallon tank with a few fish and a lot of coral, mainly LPS, but a few small SPS frags. I do a water change every other week, but have recently noticed my corals just don't seem to be doing as well. So I did water tests yesterday and discovered my calcium was at 343 and alkalinity was 6.9. I did a little research and decided to set up dosing pumps. Could you recommend some products and walk me through how to set it up? Sincerely, 2 Partless in Tacoma. Yes. Now that we got all the gear we need, let's just start by talking about dosing supplements. There's really 2 ways to go about dosing supplements. The first and most easy is just to buy pre-mixed supplement. You usually get a calcium and an alkalinity buffer. But the second way, and probably longer term, more cost effective, is to buy a dry supplement, and then you just have to mix it at home yourself with RODI water. So if you're asking specifically for my recommendation, I would just go to Marine Depot and choose a brand. Any one of them is going to work fine for you. I currently use the Brightwell Reef Code A and B. You've chosen your supplement, and now we need to test. I'd recommend one of 2 test kits. The first and more affordable one is from Red Sea. It's the Reef Foundation Pro. And probably my number 1 recommendation are the Hanna alkalinity and calcium checkers. They're super accurate and they read the color for you. Now that you've chosen your 2-part solution and you have tested your water, you now need to raise the levels of calcium and alkalinity in your tank to get them exactly where you want them. And you do this manually. So what you do is you go to Marine Depot, you go to their calcium and alkalinity calculator, you choose your product, and then you put in how much water is in your tank, what your current calcium and alkalinity level is, and then where you want your calcium and alkalinity to be, and it will tell you how much of that supplement you need to add. Then at the same time, for 2 days, you want to test how much calcium calcium and alkalinity is being depleted every day by your corals. Then you can go back to the Marine Depot calcium and alkalinity calculator to find out how much you need to dose every day to make up for that loss. You can set up an automatic dosing system using dosing pumps. When it comes to dosing pumps, there are several good brands out there, and you're probably not going to go wrong with any of them. There are two dosing pumps that I'm going to recommend. The first is from Bubble Magus. It's the BMT01 or the BMT11, which is a slightly upgraded version. They each come with 3 dosing heads, so you can dose up to 3 separate things, and they have programming built into the system itself. My second recommendation, and the product that we're going to be using today, is the Comore X1 Bluetooth Micro Pump. This one connects directly to an iOS or Android device, and you can program it from your phone. Now we just need to decide, are you going to purchase a specialty made reservoir for holding the 2-part solution, or are you going to drill holes in the top of the 2-part dosing containers themselves? First thing you're going to want to do is get the supplies you need. So go to Marine Depot. You're going to want to pick up 2 of these 1/4 inch push connect bulkheads. Next up, you're going to get your drill set out and your drill bit. Find the right size drill bit for the bulkhead. Drill a hole in the center of the cap of your 2-part dosing liquids. Then you're just going to take your flexible tubing, you're going to measure out the correct amount, and you're going to cut it so that it's just above the very bottom of the bottle on the inside. Or you can go fancy and buy a dosing reservoir. Marine Depot sells several different kinds, different shapes, different sizes, so you can probably find one that fits your needs perfectly. We're going to be using the Bright Well Aquatics Reef Code A and B as our 2-part. Just measure out the perfect amount, put your water in the dosing container, and then slowly add in the salt while you're stirring it. If you do notice some clumping on the bottom, you can just take your entire dosing container and float it in some hot water, and then just come back throughout the day and stir it up, and it should dissolve completely. Since we're using the Comore X1 pump, the steps are really pretty easy. We have to attach the dosing head, attach the flexible tubing. Then we need to prime the line to make sure there's no air in it. Then we calibrate it. So you have your pump set up, it's calibrated, it's primed, and it's programmed. Now you need to attach the other end of the flexible tubing into your tank. You can just use a clamp, but make sure you put it in a high flow area. So in this tank, I'm gonna be putting it in the rear filtration chamber, and I highly recommend purchasing the Aquamax probe holder. There's a lot of different brands out there. This Aquamax one is super affordable. quick word of caution. This is the Comore X1 dosing head, and this is the inlet and outlet piece. The diameter of this is not the same as the diameter of the straw on the Simplicity. Instead of using the straw in the Simplicity doser, there's a second option right over here where you can insert your own piece of flexible tubing. Not a make or break deal, slightly annoying because I just expected it to work. Maybe for the next 2 or 3 weeks, every other day, testing your calcium and your alkalinity, and then going to that Marine Depot calculator and making slight adjustments, either positive or negative, until you have it dialed in just right. If you have a question for our Dear TRS segment, shoot us an email, contact@thatreefshow.com, and your question may be featured in a following episode. I need to level with you guys. One other big problem I ran into during this whole process is I originally put my dosing reservoir right here, but I put the Comore dosing pumps up in here, hidden. I plumbed everything, I thought it was working, and then I started running it. Well, I would run it, and then as soon as it would turn off, everything drained back. As soon as I took the Comore dosing pump and I put it at the same level as a Simplicity doser, now when I dose to the very, very top of my tank, the liquid stays up there. 2-partless in Tacoma. I really hope that was helpful. It took me a lot longer than I thought, and I hope that answered your question. But that's it for Dear That Reef Show. Thank you for your question. This week's giveaway is for the Chill Solutions Thermoelectric Chiller. It's just in time for the hot summer months. Here's how to enter. You have to be watching this at My First Fish Tank. You have to like this video, subscribe to My First Fish Tank, and leave a message in the comments below answering the question, how do you keep your tank cool in the summer? You have to be 18 years old to enter and a resident of the United States. And if you want a second chance to enter, go to Marine Depot, find this video, copy the comment, paste it, follow Marine Depot, and you'll have 2 chances to enter, but you have to at least enter at My First Fish Tank. I think that's all the details you need, so let's go unbox it. We got the Chill Solutions Thermoelectric Chiller. It says it's for tanks up to 30 gallons. That for a 10-gallon tank, it can bring the temperature down about 10 degrees. For a 20-gallon tank, 5 to 8 degrees. And if you have a 30-gallon tank, it's 2 to 4 degrees. It's thermoelectric. I honestly have no idea what that means, but I know that it doesn't have any coolant, so like no Freon or something like that. Other than that, I don't understand how it works. Comes with your thermoelectric chiller, and they say just be careful not to install this in a cabinet or an enclosed area because the heat needs space around it to dissipate. It also comes with an inlet and an outlet hose barb already installed, so all you need to do is get some sort of small utility pump and some flexible tubing and attach it. It also comes with 2 plastic hose clamps, and then of course your power. But just remember, you have to use a utility pump. It recommends a utility pump somewhere in the range of 40 to 300 gallons per hour, but it can work outside of those ranges. CJ Synchro 1.0. I gotta find those though. Got them! You have to plumb it and make sure there's no leaks. I really hope I did this right, or else we're gonna have salt water everywhere. Water's flowing, no leaks. Here's the input line, down, into this side, then it comes out this side, back up into the final chamber. The current tank temperature is 78.4. It says it can take up to 24 hours to like stabilize the temperature. So let's plug it in, turn it on, and we'll check back in a couple hours. Plugged it in, and it tells me the current temperature 78.1, and my controller says 78.4, so pretty close. And then I think all you have to do is press the button, and we want to set it to 77. There, right there. And I think if you let it go, it'll snap into place. I'm going to check back tonight and see if it makes it down to 77. I think it's going to. The direction says it takes up to 24 hours. The only downside right now is I actually really like the Chill Solutions Thermoelectric chiller, and I don't actually want to give it away. But I'm going to give it away so one of you guys can enjoy it as well. All right, we'll check back a little bit later, but that's pretty much it. Okay, so it's just after 8 p.m. Tank is asleep, and this says 77.8, but under here it's 77.3. So I'm gonna call the experiment complete and call it a success, just because I don't want anything to happen at nighttime where the tank gets too cool. Just a reminder of how to enter. You have to be watching this at My First Fish Tank. Subscribe to My First Fish Tank, like this video, and leave a comment below answering the question, how do you keep your tank cool in the summer? You have to be 18 years old to enter and a resident of the United States. Sorry, rest of the world. Contest will close in 1 week, Friday at midnight, and the winner will be announced in episode 3. Good luck, everybody. Time to choose the winner of episode 1's giveaway for the Comore X1 micro dosing pump. Let's do it. Choose a random number between 1 and 471.
The answer is 21.
21. Siri? And the winner is Feet for Fish with the response, my favorite pump by far and away is my Iwaki 70 RTL. That pump has served me for 11 years now without fail. Love it. Well, congratulations, Feet for Fish. You have just won the Comore X1 dosing pump. We'll be reaching out to you shortly to get your contact information, and if you didn't win, don't worry, we're going to do a giveaway every single episode. So, better luck next time. This week's Tank of the Week comes from Mario from Miami, Florida. You can check him out on Instagram at 305_reefer. It's a 75-gallon long tank. He has an HOB filter and a sump that he jerry-rigged from a wet-dry setup. His lights, he has 2-time 165-watt Chinese black box lights. For wave makers, he has one ice cap gyre, the 1K version. He also has a J-Bow wave maker. And then for a return pump, he has the Lifeguard Pro 4000. Mario, thanks for sending us pictures and videos. So let's roll a quick clip of Mario's tank. Your tank could be featured next week in our Tank of the Week series. All you have to do is email us, contact@thatreefshow.com. Send us pictures and videos and describe your tank. Also, give us permission to use all of your media. Who knows? You might be next week. To check out more pictures from Mario's tank, follow him at 305_reefer on Instagram. Thanks, Mario. I almost forgot one more thing. A big thank you to Marine Depot for supplying all the products you saw featured in episode 2 of That Reef Show. Happy reefing, everyone. Wait, what is it called? Wait, hold on. Wait. I have this microphone, and I always have it turned the wrong way. Sorry. Oh. No. It wasn't. Oh my god, the autofocus on this camera is the worst. Look at this. Autofocus. Oh my gosh, Lumix G85, I love you, but your autofocus is the worst. My shadow is in every shot. Faster. Focus. Focus. I put my hand in here, that's the trick. No? You're just anti-focusing today? You're a raging anti-focuser? Oh my god, I hate so much about the focus. Thermoelectric chiller. Augustus. You're interrupting my clip here. I'm filming on 2 cameras right now. That is not helpful. Blooper reel. Bloopers. Please don't spill water everywhere. This week, word of the week. This week's word of the week. This week's episode 2, word of the week. No, phrase of the week. Words of the week. Whatever. We're gonna call it word of the week. No, words of the week. Links are directly below. Favor. Please do us a really quick like this video, and I can't remember, and to I was so close. Check out his. So let's roll a quick clip. Thank you, Mario. Thank you, Mario. Thanks, Mario. Thanks, Mario. Thanks, Mario. Thanks, Mario. Thanks, Mario. Thanks for sending us your tank, Mario. Gracie, I'm filming.